Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Another Beyond the Click and Cliff. This is a podcast where I just talk to you about life experiences, nothing to do with Lego. My some stories of me growing up, some funny, some sad, some bizarre. Like I said, this is just a podcast that I enjoy doing, sharing some life experiences with you guys. Now, like I said, some of them may be lengthy, some may be short. It just depends on the story and the story that I'm telling you. Um, this is something you may not want to watch, or listen to while you're working, or building Lego, cleaning, whatever it is. Just something on the background to listen to and maybe chuckle or laugh at. Um, and today's title, was I a problem child? Well, problem child happens. I mean, I think every kid in life gets into trouble. I don't think nobody's ever gotten in trouble with their parents when they were young, and I'm no different. Um, I I remember getting in trouble a lot. I did get my head stuck in. Okay, when I was young, we had it downstairs. Had those wooden stairs going downstairs, and I thought I'd be a bright idea, try to crawl through the stairs instead of going around. Don't ask me why. So I got my head stuck and I was screaming. Mom came down and had to rescue me. That did not feel good. Um, I told you the story about me getting lost. Um, I did get in trouble a lot. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. Come to think about it, and it was all my fault, of course. We doing stuff that I thought that I could do. Well, it turned out that I couldn't. Like when I was 14, taking my dad's truck and driving around I didn't live on blocks. I lived on a country road, but no one around the roads. And my dad's pickup and blew his motor because I didn't know how to drive it. Yeah, that was a fun one to try to explain. My mom and dad I think they went on a date night or something like that, and I was bored at home. When you're bored at home, that's when you get in trouble. I go, well, you know what? Dad's truck's out there. It's back road. I ain't gonna get pulled over by no cop out here or sheriff's department. You know, he's not gonna know that I took it around down the road and back. Yeah. Well, I could drive. I drove ever since I was a kid. I mean, I knew how to drive a standard. You know, well, it was four on the floor, of course, automatic. But this was 30 in the tree where the shifter was in the column of your steering wheel. Did not know how to drive that very well, and that's what truck my dad had. I got in first gear. I said, well, I'll just go slow. Man, it can't be no different than the standard on the floor, you know. You got your gears, you're pushing the clutch, and you just, well, whew, a little different than I was used to. I got in my dad's truck, going down the road, first gear. I got, you hear the motor winding. It's time to shift gears. And I was looking all over this dash for a diagram, for a second. So I figured it was down. No, that's third gear. Yeah, I kept messing with that. I said, well, I guess I'm going to go home. reverse. Where the heck is reverse? So I go, you know what? The road doesn't square. I just do that. I just go to Country Square. I did that, and hmm, it was not fun. I blew the motor, sat on the side of the road, and I knew I was in trouble. I just, I was the kid going like this, just shaking my head on the steering wheel. So what have I done? This is before we had cell phones. We didn't have cell phones, so my butt had to walk all the way home. Well, we had landlines. I knew what restaurant they were working at, eating at because it was my parents' friends that owned and operated that restaurant. So I made it home. I looked at that phone. I said, you know what? Maybe the distance would be better than telling them waiting until they got home. Maybe gives dad time to calm down before he got to the house. Logical thinking, right? So I called the restaurant. They weren't there. I said, shoot, they're on their way home. And in the meantime, I called my friend to come with his truck, and he was a couple years older than me, and he had a truck. And I said, we need to pull this home. I'll try to get in the exact same spot. I'll go out there in the morning thinking that he did it. So we rushed around, got the truck back in the driveway where it was, and my friend was there, and my dad pulls up in the drive, and with my mom, they got out, and I was sitting on the front porch sweating because it was summer. He goes, "What are you sweating for?" And I said, "It's hot." My friend was sitting there. He just goes, "Well, I think I'm going to go home now." And he goes, "Well, you don't want to go home. You hang out here for a while. Unless you have to be home." And my friend, he didn't know what to really say. He goes, "I think probably best I go home." Dad goes, "All right." And he looked at me kind of funny, like, "Well, that's never happened. Usually, we had to kick my dad. Had to say, I usually have to kick him out of the house with a broom when it's time for him to go home. Now he was volunteering." See, yeah, Dad, we got to talk. And first thing he said, "What did you do?" I said, "I tore up your truck." And he looked at me and goes, "My truck? It's sitting right there. What did you do?" I told him the story. I said I tried to drive it down the road, and I think I blew the engine because I revved it up too hard trying to. And he, he sat there, he done this thing with his head going, "Son, what gets in your head?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I, I'm learning the same thing myself at this time and juncture in my life." And he I was surprisingly surprised that he wasn't mad. And he goes, "Well," so I knew what the next Saturday was going to entail that maybe we had to go. So me and my dad went to the junkyard, pulled a motor out of a truck that was there, brought it home, took it to the barn, and we put it in the same day. And I asked Dad, I said, "Why didn't you beat the living crap out of me for?" He didn't beat the crap out of me. I just said it that way. So why didn't you get up? You really took this well." And he told me the story. He goes, "Well, I was in your shoes before, and I did the same thing, and I didn't want to overreact like my dad did with me." So he said, "I'm proud of you for telling me, not lying or trying to get out of it." And in my back of my head, I said, "Well, that's kind of what I was trying to do, but my conscience kind of got a hold of me." But I didn't tell him that. I'm sure he knew. But, you know, life stories like that, you know, it's just craziness. Then I remember, I told you the story about me running around in well, I may not, but we were at a mall one day and there was fountains and it was middle of winter and I fell in the pond because I wouldn't listen to my dad, or the fountain because I didn't listen to my dad. It, you know, child, me being a father now, I understand what he was going through because it's sometimes like, what were you thinking? But to be fair, there's that time I did drive the tractor into the pond. That was exciting. That wasn't really my fault. That was the equipment malfunction. The gas pedal stuck, or the throttle stuck, and I panicked. Didn't know what to do, and I just froze. And here comes a pond. I said, "Well, at least I'm going to crash into a pond. I opened the door before I hit the pond, so I know I can get out." But stuff like that happens. Um, I remember. Here's another story of me being a problem child. We were at a grocery store, well, convenience store one day, and I like my candy. Could you tell? I like candy. So I asked my dad. Actually, it was my mom. My dad was at work. I went with my mom and I asked my mom, "Hey, can I get this candy bar?" And she said, "No, we're not here for that. We're here to get gas, and then we got to go." I said, "Come on." So in my head, I said, "Well, if I open up and eat it, that she has to buy it, right?" So I opened up in front of her and I started eating on it, and she looked at me and she goes, her eyes, I stole it. Oh, and that was a story. That was not a good move, Cliff. Of course, she paid for it because it was the right thing to do. Boy, I got scolded that night. Now I tell you, my mom spanked me. When I got home, my dad spanked me. Whew. I knew then not to do that ever again. It was back when spanking was okay. Um, they never did beat me. I deserved every spanking I got. Um, there's stupid stuff that I did when I was a kid, you know, and I'm glad my daughter didn't do all that to me. Oh, what I did to my parents, she didn't. She was sweet. She was good raising. She never got in trouble. I think I got on to my daughter maybe 4 times while she was growing up. You know, all in all, she was a pretty good girl. But me, I always had to push the limits. I remember another time where we were at church and the church didn't have a pavement. Parking lot was all gravel. And me and the other guys or kids, boys that were there, we'd pick up the rocks and throw them. This old lady bought a brand new Cadillac, and we were throwing rocks. Same thing, we're not going to miss, but we missed every time we threw it at somebody because we couldn't aim. But we were sure hitting cars. Well, we deemed up. I mean, her car was parked, and we were right in front of it throwing rocks. And every time we threw a rock, you heard a ping, 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 ping. And we were hitting her car, and of course, my dad came out, saw what we were doing. He got on to me, and of course, the other parents are coming out, getting on to their kids, and here she comes, and it was her brand new Cadillac. Boy, she took it well. We went home that afternoon, and I was sitting there because, yeah, I got a spanking. because I was told not to throw rocks hundreds of times. Did I listen? Nope. And sitting there on the couch as my dad was calling this lady, said, "Well, how much? Take it to the body shop. If there's any damage, we'll we'll pay for it." And of course, the lady was nice. She goes, Your son wasn't the only one doing it." And he goes, "I don't care. I told Clifford not to do it, and he did it anyway, and he's gonna work it off." So I remember the whole summer I mowed her yard for free every week, over mowing her yard, pay for the damage I did with the rocks. And I learned there not to throw rocks again because I didn't. After that, I was done. Nope, I ain't mowing a year time for nothing. I don't know what the other kids got in trouble or not. I don't know what their punishment was, but I know my punishment. My dad always tried every punishment to teach me a lesson. It wasn't to just punish me for what I did. He did it. He did it, and also showed me a lesson, and that's the reason why I had him on the yard. And he told me, he goes, "You know what? You sometimes you play, you gotta pay." And I had to pay that summer is the choice that I made to throw that rock and dent up that car. So yeah, was I a problem child? I don't know. I could have been, but I think everything I done growing up, I got today where I do have a conscience because I know there should, I do something, there will be consequences of my actions, no matter what I do, good or bad. It's kind of like, every time there's an action, there is a reaction, kind of scenario. And that distilled me in my head growing up in my life. Every choice I made, there's going to be a consequence or something going to happen. And if it's good, it's all good. But sometimes, you got to expect the bad. You make the bad decisions, you're going to pay the consequences. And you got to be man enough to take them. Um, my old man also said, you got to take the curves with the straights. So, and his favorite motto: some days are diamonds, some days are coals, but you got to work hard to make that coal into a diamond. So he never believed in bad days. He believed that there are some days that are rougher than others, but you just have to work hard and get through it. And that's what I'm doing in life right now is getting through it. So he did teach me that aspect of life where I think if I think I'll make a decision, there's going to be a reaction somewhere. And if it's good, good. And if not, you got to deal with the consequences because that was your decision. Like me going, I did that. I took that philosophy into my career when I was a firefighter. Every reaction I took, there's going to be a reaction. If I went into the burning house and I made the wrong judgment call, my life and my partner's life is in stake. And knock on, I'm so happy that my 20-year career, I may got hurt a couple times, but I never got anybody killed, and that was an achievement that I'm proud of. But uh, it, it's just one of those things that in life you got to think about. So I think I did grow up like that, and that was drilled in my head. So everybody's different. Everybody does things different. I understand that. But me, that was my philosophy through my career, my life. Hey, when I make a choice, I'm going to have to live with what I made, and I got to deal with what comes after, good or bad. I prefer good, but sometimes there were bad choices I made growing up in life and in adulthood. I made the wrong choices and had to deal with the consequences. No, I didn't have to eat that candy bar there with my mom, but you know what? I made the choice to do it, and I had to pay the consequences of getting in trouble. You know, so anyway, guys, that will be enough today's podcast. Was I a problem child? Well, you can answer that in the comments down below. Make sure you check out my other podcasts. You might find something there that's interesting, and makes you chuckle. Um, you know, you never know what happens, but yeah, go check out my other podcasts. Listen, give them a listen. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe not. I don't know. Guys, this will be it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for accepting me into your friends or your some that you might like listen to. Thanks for accepting me for who I am, and I'm going to sure accept you. Guys, remember, pay it forward. Be nice to one another. Be true. You know, pay it forward and be good to each other. And guys, until next time.